Hey everybody, and welcome back to another RCT2 review. We are continuing our head-to-head 9 reviews with the last match in round 6. So the last video that we did featured guest speaker Steve for that one. So wanted to have one final thought on this one because I did not actually say for Blue Pearl that the build was 85% Steve and 15% Bubsy. So congrats to both of them, and a nice little park here, and thanks to Steve for being on the channel. But I also was on here because I need to set up the start of the next park that we went against. So this is the Serial Killers Gangland, and you know what? I'm just going to let the start do itself. So that was all in-game ride vehicles as giant black screens and text. And there's no Photoshop, no post-production, anything there. That's all in-game RCT. One of the coolest openings I think I've ever seen for a park. So love it, absolutely love it. I think it was really, really cool. And what you'll notice down below, if you can kind of read the text there, is we've got a mystery on our hands. So I'll pop this open here real quick, and you can kind of see a little bit. It's a bit small here, so would encourage you to go ahead and download the park and actually look at this. I'm not actually going to do anything more with this puzzle because I think it's worth kind of working through in the game. But essentially, you've got a mystery at hand. This guy here got pushed off the tower of some kind and died here in the water, and it's your job to figure out who did it. And when you find that person, you go dump them over here in either cell A, cell B, or cell C, depending on who you pick. And there's some fun stuff that's going to happen. So, highly recommend you go do that because that's largely what makes this park as cool as it is. So what do we have aside from that, though? Let's take a look at the park itself. This is a another kind of turn of the century pier park, so sort of like Riverview Exposition, which we looked at last time around, where we've got our kind of old style park here with the cityscape beyond. The park itself is pretty small. There's not a whole heck of a lot to it, but a couple of nice little bits and pieces here. So we have a looping coaster here, which is cool with Loop the Loop from Prescott. And then on the other side, we've got a just a standard out and back coaster, mislabeled. It says Allen 1921. John Allen was only like 14 at that point, so not quite the correct association there. But nonetheless, the chaser lights are really nice. I like the use of the mine train supports instead. Gives it a nice different character to the other coaster. And this station is really quite nice. I love the towers here. And two, all the little crackly kind of scenic you see going on, that's all part of the scenery and the palette and everything else. Well, not the palette, it's actual scenery. You have your black and white palette for the rest of it. Kind of fun when you actually look at the palette that it's literally just a whole slew of different kind of grays, which is cool and probably kind of difficult to build with. Really neat ride here in the middle. This is probably one of the best attempts I've seen of one of these guys. You'll have to look it up on YouTube, but the whole thing basically tilted on an axis in the middle, and the tilting is what rotated the vehicles around the spiral. So this is easily the best attempt in that I've seen in the game. Couple standard other things. You've got a whip here. You've got a Ferris wheel, carousel, a little speed carousel there too, cruising around, and then a nice little dark ride in here. There's a little kind of bar type area going on down here. We've got a little some seedy underbelly going on here. And then outside the park, we've got a couple things. So on this side, we have the docks. So loving some of the signage here. So we've got the Joe's Mustard sign here. You spin around, you've got the Thinks Pier. and just all the little details throughout. And you've got all these different workers kind of walking around, making it feel sort of ominous. So there's a lot to kind of take in and look at. I love the boat here. I love the kind of darker colors underneath the water. Very nicely done as far as just kind of making this area seem kind of dark, a little seedy, despite not being kind of too dirty overall. Cool crane. I think this is very nicely put together. One of the things that strikes me on this one is how well put together a lot of the spaces here without kind of what we've been calling that crunch throughout the park. So there's not a whole lot of that real heavy pathway texturing and all that sort of stuff, which I kind of like. It makes everything else more readable instead. So credit to them for that one. So a nice collection of kind of turn of the century type buildings here, little tenement row houses and shops and things kind of along our main drag here with the tram lines. This is very cool. This cutaway section here where we see the kind of club down here with the billiard tables and all that, and the various kind of bartenders and things. You've got this space above, which is just really, really nice. I love this huge chandelier that's dropped down in the hotel. So this is the Grand Hotel on the front, and you can see this is a cafe on the side. A cool Coca-Cola billboard also. That's a nice, fun sign. Really nice theater here as well. So this is kind of part of the thing. You can click on some of these different guys, and this is part of that overall storyline puzzle for you to solve. So definitely get through there and click on all the stuff and check it out, and definitely spend some time with it. We spin around some more. We've got a couple of skyscrapers, which is pretty nice. Not overly detailed, but enough to get the job done, and I think to do it pretty well, I would say. Nice thing with the black and white texture is you're really kind of dealing with just light and shadow more than anything, which is equally challenging and also helpful in some cases, I think. I like this building. Kind of reminds me of the Singer building in New York City, which was demolished. Here is a fun little detail. This is a vertical car elevator. These were kind of popular in some of the major American cities around the turn of the century. And then lastly, down here, we've got our train yard and the elevated train here being built up above. So we have the subway kind of going in down here, this cut and fill technique, and then the overhead L going in above. And then obviously we have our police station here with the prison down below. And like I said, be sure to play the game. So open up your messages here and kind of read everything, and then go try and figure out who it was who did the deed, and place them there, and just wait and see what happens. There's a lot to it, and it's worth your time to figure out. Lots of little details throughout, just good little signs, using the actual signs in game more heavily than some other parks, which I kind of like. It feels a little more old school, but it also is done nicely in the fact that it's not just the text, there's other stuff to it, and you have other details. I love just the supporting items behind some of the signage. One of the things that always strikes me looking at some of these older city and theme park photos is just how much advertising there was in the form of just giant roof signs and things like that. So that I kind of feel like is on the money right now in this park. And then just in general, trying to nail that overall aesthetic of, it's a little grimy, a little dirty, but not totally run down. I think there's you could call this a pretty nice city with a little bit of a seedy underbelly that you're going to get to discover as you dig into it a little bit. So I'm going to leave it there because I really think that it's worth exploring on your own. I think the guys did post a video of this one. If you really don't want to spend the time and go through, there's definitely some info that you can find on all this. Now this was 50 or 45% by Stormrunner fan, 45% by Split Vision, and 10% by GeForce. But on the whole, between the opening sequence and the park itself and just this kind of mini game that's in it. This one took a resounding victory, a 49-2 over Blue Pearl, which is a shame for Blue Pearl because in its own right it is a very nice little park and definitely deserves better than the score shows, I think. But unfortunately, when it's either a yes or a no vote, sometimes even just a slightly better park will out the other. But there's a lot to like about this park, and congratulations to the Serial Killers team for the win. So that's all for match 3 and for round 6 as a whole. Come back and catch us next time as we dive into the final round of round robin play, round number 7. We will catch you in the next one. See you next time. Thanks.